Hello and welcome to this episode of New Earth Podcast. We have a fabulous guest with us today, Sally Hinchcliffe. Welcome, Sally.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's so lovely to be here today.
Beautiful to have you on the show. So, Sally, can you start by letting us know a little bit about yourself and how you came into, doing the work that you do? Because I understand that you work with Ascended Masters,
Yes.
channeling, and that this was something that was with you since a very, young age.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was able to see people who passed over, and I was really able to feel the energies in a room. And if I couldn't see people who passed over and angels, always I could feel their energies. And there were times when I needed to hide somewhere for various reasons, and they'd give me a hiding place. Um, and I just, I didn't even know it was a thing. I just thought everybody had these friends that would talk to them and you could chat with. And it was only when I was an adult that, and I looked back on my childhood and I thought, oh my goodness, you know, this was really happening. I really did see angels. I really did communicate with family members who passed over. And it was a bit of a surprise, really, because I hadn't really thought of myself as spiritual or particularly psychic. And it all sort of went away when I had children. Um, and there were a lot of challenges in my life. And then I left this really stressful job and went to a much less stressful job. And that was the start of it all happening again. I was on the tube and the tube broke down. And I had this overwhelming urge that I had to speak to the lady next to me. And we were at like Putney Bridge Station. I was like, what am I going to do? I can't talk to some random stranger, particularly not in London. And then, but I knew I was going to have to say something. And then she sneezed, and I was able to say, bless you. And I said, are you struggling with how to get rid of 2 grand pianos? And she was like, yes, actually, I am. And then that was my first sort of giving a message. Um, and I still didn't realize it was a message. I didn't know what I was doing. Following Christmas, she wrote to me, care of my job, calling me her pink haired angel on the tube and how much the message had changed her life. I still didn't realize what I was doing. Then I started having to give messages a lot more often and started getting visions. They showed me my own Akashic records. I didn't know what it was. I had to go up flights of stairs and meet angels. And then somebody said, you need to go and see Shirley Batty, who's this wonderful, amazing psychic woman who lives in my area. And after a few sessions with Shirley, the penny dropped and I realized what I was doing and what this whole journey was all about.
How
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about how you're working now, because you're working specifically with Mary Magdalene, I believe.
Yes. That was interesting because my first introduction with Shirley was a channeling workshop. And she said, she got there and said, I suppose you've all meditated. And yes, I hadn't. I was just thought I better wing it. And then we did this channeling, and the first thing that came through was it was Mary Magdalene saying, I need to follow the order of the rose, the way of the rose. I didn't even know what that was. So I wrote it all down because Shirley said you have to journal everything. And it was only when I was looking back on my journals a couple of years ago that I realized, oh my goodness, the very first thing I ever got through was from Mary Magdalene. So she left me alone for a while, sort of build my skills, and I started doing reading, started doing healing. And then we went to the Chalice Well, and I just felt drawn to go there. And we went into the Chalice Well Gardens, and we were meditating, and suddenly Mary Magdalene was coming through, and it felt like I had to talk. I felt like I was going to be sick or something. I had this urge that I had to talk, and that was my first channeling. And then she said, you've got to form a group. So I went to the loo, and we were outside the gift shop, and I was just chatting to my friends who'd been there about, I'm going to form this group. And this lady overheard me. She says, are you forming a Mary Magdalene group? I need to join that. And then word spread
Wow.
literally right from the start. And so now I do have a lovely Mary Magdalene group. We've been together for a couple of years. So each session, I channel something beforehand, like a meditation, and we get light codes through, and we get downloads. And we've ascended massively since we first started. And now we're working on with another friend of mine who's psychic, and she calls them her handmaidens. We're working on this big thing of womb healing as well. So And at the end of every session where I'm working with her in the Mary Magdalene group, women take it in turns to ask her questions. And it might be about the state of the earth. One was about the rise in people who are neurodiverse, and are there really more people in neurodiverse, or what's really going on? And she had a really unusual take on that. So we film all of this and we put it on I've got a channeling YouTube channel, and we put it on there for other people to see,
Oh,
because
that sounds
she wants people
amazing.
to be aware of what's going on.
So
Yeah,
your group, is it a local group? Because you're
it
based
is a
in the
local group for
forest
now.
somewhere, aren't you?
Yeah, near the New Forest. So we've got a local group, but the intention is to start an online one, maybe September time. I'm just working out the logistics of Zoom, and I'm not very technologically minded, but once I've got that sorted, we will be doing an online one as well, because I know there's quite a few people that I work with worldwide who I know would like to join. So if I can find the right time for the different time zones,
Oh, that
then
sounds
we'll be
amazing,
starting
Sally.
that. Mm.
So I'm just going to backtrack a bit because you mentioned the way of the rose. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because some people might not know what you're talking about.
So it's really interesting. So I have to be honest that I don't read around subjects. I just get what I get from spirit. But sometimes they do ask me to read and research after I've got something through, but that's quite rare. So the way, and different people have got different interpretations, I'm sure, but the way I see the way of the rose, it's about the rise of the divine feminine. It's about increasing your awareness of your sense of self. It's about self-nurture, and the idea is that we've all got a candle inside us, and if we can just give it oxygen and allow it to glow, then we can spread the word, the light, and the joy for other women. And the word, she's actually sort of around at the moment, she's saying the word is nurture. If we can nurture ourselves, we can nurture others, we can nurture our environment, and we can build together a web of energy with each other, with the world, with the plants, with the animals. And that's going back to these scenes and how they used to work. Nobody lived in isolation. We were part of a bigger thing. We were part of the cosmos. And people have got separated from that along the years and through the ages, and along with the patriarchal society. And it's time to connect back to that sort of thing, and the phases of the womb, and connecting with women's menstrual cycles. And it's ready to come back. Now is the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a real sense of the divine feminine, rising, and because it's been suppressed for such a long time. I'm really
Yeah,
interested that this all started for you. I mean, obviously the connection with Shirley Batty, but in Glastonbury in the
yeah,
Chancellor Garden. I was recently there actually because I came back in May this year for a class, and I was really drawn to going to the Chancellor Garden, and I actually just lay down on the grass, and it was May, so it was just full of flowers, and I actually felt like I was downloading a lot of energy from around the divine feminine, and the class that I'd been on, it's a Taoist class, and one of the things that you learn is womb breathing, ovarian breathing, and I sat by the chalice well doing the ovarian breathing. It was very, very strong, and I've actually been told since that I need to return to that place and that experience, because it's like it can the connection was made at that point, but that I
yes.
can keep returning to that to strengthen something that kind of started then. So I don't know if that's anything you'd like to speak to at all.
Yeah, it's really interesting because all women, or people who identify as women, or men who are in touch with their feminine side, have all got this womb space. And women, when I say from now on, when I say women, I do mean women, people who identify as women, and men who are in touch with their divine feminine side. But for speed, I always just say women now, but I'm not excluding any groups of people by saying the word women. But this womb space, this womb healing, this energy in our wombs has just lied dormant for many years, and it's not about putting it back. It's already there. We're just uncovering it. And when you went to the chalice well, you felt that, and that was you reconnecting. So, and it's so important at the moment that we're helping others to do this, to be able to reconnect. Women need it. People need this. And I feel that by doing that, we're going to lose a lot of the angst, the stress, the anxiety, as we go back to our true sense of selves, and also what our true soul purpose is. And I think that's so important. And stories like yours are happening. Women come to me lots saying things like this. It's just so wonderful that these people are just like popping away. They, you know, it's almost like the room's ready. Hey, I'm ready. You know, it's time for us to connect again. Come on, you know, let's do some work. And it's happening all over. And people you wouldn't expect are just being drawn to this energy. People who've never even thought about this before, because the patriarchy has sort of, in a way, forced us to disconnect from our womb, to disconnect from the cycles of nature, and take on a more masculine form. And now people are beginning to realize that the feminine attributes of being psychic, intuitive, nurturing, loving are just as important. And the male aspects are no more important than the female. We need to work together in balance to achieve great things.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the thing, that the masculine has gone out of balance because of the suppression of the feminine. So it's kind of a healing of the both. But you know, I feel that by reconnecting with our womb space, and it's very powerful. You know, it's the place of creation. You know,
Yes.
it's very, very powerful, and that's what I'm really learning. You know, that holding that, but it's almost a sense of you know, it is a place that we can hold a lot of trauma. So often I feel we need to work through the trauma before we can actually reach that powerful co-creative aspect. And it's interesting that the timing of this, because I've literally just put on my YouTube channel a sacral chakra activation. So I'm just wondering if there's going to be some overlaps, and anyone that's really enjoying this podcast might want to just look for that as well, because you know, we talk about that embodiment, you know, which you know, that coming into you know, coming into the body, and really connecting with that. Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so I want to pick up on what you said about the trauma is stored in the womb. That's something which came through for me a couple of months ago. And my friend Corinne and I, we've formed this womb healing meditation. It's a series of 3 meditations, and it's going to form a system, and it's involving journaling and meditations. What the interesting thing was that it's not just trauma to the sacral that's stored there. It's anytime you felt disempowered, anytime you felt that you're not worthy, that you've made to feel small, that you're not equal to men. So, and all of that has to go somewhere. And for women, and people who identify as women, it is stored in the womb. And I got through that there's like a third eye in the womb, like a portal. And at the moment, with a lot of people, it's shut, and they show it to me like a cathedral door or an ancestral door. And she calls it, Mary Magdalene calls it, the ancestral doorway. And what happens is, through this womb healing and this meditation that Corinne and I do, that doorway can be opened. The thing is, it has to be done in a really gentle way, because when you open that doorway, the trauma comes flooding out, because it's been shut away for so long. Now, the key is to bring out the trauma in a very gentle, nourishing, guided way, but then to replace it with love, with tenderness, with care, with nourishment. And in the meditation that I got through, it came through as nourishing a rose, and then you can see the rose growing, and the rose will bloom in the heart space, and going through the womb space. And once this energy and this trauma has been released, it needs to go somewhere. So it has to be transmuted by the violet flame. And then we can work on, there's a whole system of meditations that we do to replace and to re-nourish the womb, because that way the door can stay open, you can be more connected to your divine feminine, more intuitive, all those things women used to be, and there isn't a danger that the door will shut again. So once the healing is done, it does have to be replaced with love and being nurtured and self-worth. Otherwise, there is that danger that door will shut again, because that room, if you like, the space, it's shown like Corinne got it through as like a healing cave. That cave doorway's got to be kept open, and the way to do that is through love.
Beautiful. I love that what you talk about, the third eye connection in the womb
Yeah.
space.
So
You know, my understanding, because I work with chakras as well, and my understanding, you know, the base and crown chakra are connected, the third eye and sacral, you know, that but I hadn't, funnily enough, although I work with this, I hadn't quite perceived it in that way before. You know, that was something that was really, but as soon as you said it, was like, yeah, I can really resonate with that.
yeah, yeah. So Mary Magdalene showed me it as a third eye, and it's like a portal. She actually said to me, it was a bit of a riddle. She said it's a portal that births galaxies. And
Wow.
if you think that that is so powerful, because it's the reemergence of the creatrix. We are, you know, we are a creatrix. We've got that. We are this divine force for creating, for nurturing, for nourishing. And if you think about it, the third eye is kind of like that as well, isn't it? You can see galaxies, you can go to different places. And she's saying that in some ways, once you've got that third eye, that portal open in your womb, it's even more powerful than your third eye, because it's really that gut instinct. I call them glimmers, when you get glimmers of truth. A bit how the Gnostic Gospels, people who wrote the Gnostic Gospels used to get those glimmers of knowing, and they knew that they were the truth. And that is what you get through this portal, this ancestral doorway in your womb. It's
Wow,
amazing
amazing.
stuff.
That
So
sounds amazing.
powerful. Yeah.
I'm just feeling drawn to anyone that's been activated, you know, talking about the womb healing and you know, the trauma and things like that. I know that when we'd had a previous connection, when we were chatting, Sally, we talked about the castor oil packs as well, because I think that can really help to heal trauma, because often, you know, if women have had cesareans, and you know, there can be trauma held not just from abuse and things like that, disempowerment, but also from, you know, things like cesareans, physical trauma. And I know
Yes.
that the castor oil packs can be very, very healing of that kind of trauma. I don't know if you want to speak to that, because think you know some other things as well as
Yeah.
the bathing as well.
Yes.
Um,
So that was quite interesting. So I got all this stuff through, and then with my Mary Magdalene group, we wanted to suss out whether it was legit or not, because it seemed so out there. But I will tell you about it in a minute. I'm not trying to drip feed here. So last Monday, when we did the Mary Magdalene group, we decided we'd try and choose somebody to channel. So we chose Dolores Cannon, and we asked her about womb healing, and all the stuff that Mary Magdalene had brought through, Dolores Cannon brought through. So that for me was confirmation that it's not just some weirdness that, you know, that's come from the past and nobody does anymore. So anyway, so the two things I got through were actually yoni steaming,
that's right. That's what I
and
remember the name.
um,
Yeah.
yes, it was blends of herbs and roses, and this was a massive part of women's lives in the past, and the Western world has just forgotten about it. And the idea is that you there's a special seat you can have, or you can just kneel over a bowl of hot but not scalding hot water with these herbs and healing, well, like rose petals and calendula and chamomile. And the idea is that the steam goes up into your womb to help heal it on a physical but also emotional level. So when I channel things like that are a bit out of my realm of experience, I would say, give me something to Google. So she said, Google it. So afterwards I did. And it is a thing in other cultures, and it's just beginning to come, from what I can see, into the Western world again.
Yeah, because I went to, I can't remember what it was called. It was some sort of abdominal massage a few years ago after, because I had to have two cesareans with my children, and I had scar tissue, and she taught me the castor oil packs, and talked about the yoni steaming. I must say I didn't do the yoni steaming, but I did do the castor oil packs for some time, and I found it really, really helpful. You know, it
Yeah,
really cleared. In fact, I'm inspired to do a little bit more, you know, because sometimes I think with scars, it holds emotion as well, and your
Does.
body's only ready to release so much in one go. So having now had a pause for some years, I think it would be good to revisit and see what I'm ready to kind of the next level sort of thing.
Yeah, I feel drawn to do the same. I haven't done it yet, but I've got the stuff in my basket on the internet ready to click buy, but I haven't done it yet. But that is something I do feel drawn to do. And the other thing was, which I guess we should have. I guess I should have known. Is they're called yoni pearls, and they're crystal. No, yoni eggs. They're
It's
crystal.
the jade eggs. That's the practical
Yeah.
year class. It's really interesting that we're talking all about this because this is the class that I was doing in Glastonbury was part of it is healing love, and you work with the jade eggs, and it helps to heal and energize because we can lose a lot of energy through that particularly as we get older. To keep the tone there helps
Yeah.
to retain energy. So.
Yeah. So what I got through from Mary Magdalene was it's also on, to be honest, I didn't really get much of the physical stuff through, but on an energetic level, because if you think about how powerful crystals are, and if women are losing so much energy and they have so much trauma in their womb area, once we've done the healing, we talked about a minute ago about having to replace it with the love, with the joy, with the tenderness and nurture, that is where the crystals come in. So for example, like using a rose quartz egg, that's going to help the generate self-love and all of that stuff, the gap held by that stagnant energy that needs to go, that's gone, needs to be replaced. And that's an easy way for women to kind of top up their energy, if you like, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like, a cup of coffee during the day, go and meditate with some rose quartz. And yeah, I just feel it could be really powerful for people. I just think we've got to get it out there.
Yeah, I mean, Master Chia was teaching. I mean, he's funny. I've done many of his classes, and I always think afterwards, what was that? Because he powers through everything. He doesn't repeat. He just keeps going and keeps going. So this time, it was the first time I taught this. He was talking about downloading with your thumb, coloured light, and charging up the yoni. So
Wow.
and apparently, if you charge it with green light, then that's healing for other people. You can then send that light to other people. So that's how powerful. That's how powerful
Wow.
this is. So I mean, and that there's just so much to this topic. We could almost have a
Yeah.
whole podcast just on this topic because it's incredibly powerful. But I'm pleased we're touching upon it, and I understand we're going to do a healing session
Yeah.
today as well. We're going to make this into a meditation and healing rather than
Yeah.
just talking. So
Yeah, I feel this is kind of like a hug in a podcast. I do
yeah,
feel this. It's almost like a cup of cacao. In fact, that's what everyone should be drinking when they watch this,
oh,
because it just feels like a really nurturing hug, doesn't it, for people? And I think that is what's needed at the moment.
definitely, because we're just all going through such change and
Yeah.
transformation, which is heavy going at times. Let's face
Yeah.
it, we're all having our moments. It's
Yeah.
kind of, yeah. So, is there anything you'd like to talk about around this topic of Mary Magdalene? Perhaps maybe Mary Magdalene is kind of quite a misunderstood character. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit. I'd be
Yeah.
interested for your take on Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because when she first started coming through, to be honest, I was raised a Catholic. So all I knew of Mary Magdalene was, that she was some harlot. And that is not her at all. Um, what was really interesting is when she started coming through, she was just explaining how women were just erased from the Bible. So the disciples all had wives. They all travelled with their wives with Jesus. Therefore, Jesus had a wife. It was Mary Magdalene. And, just as Jesus was prophesied, there's going to be a Messiah who's going to come and save the world. There'll be portents, there'll be, special stars in the sky, blah, blah, blah. All of that. There was actually the female side of that as well. And there were these mystery schools with women and one of them was going to be the person Jesus was going to marry. And it was always destined to be Mary Magdalene. So just like the male had this sort of story that went with this precursor to the birth of Jesus, the female side also had that, but that's just been buried.
Yes.
And And the way they've tried to make her into sort of a prostitute or something, she wasn't that at all. She was just a strong, powerful woman, and she also got things through from God. And her gospels were just as powerful and as needed as the ones that Yeshua, that Jesus got through. But all of that was just scrapped, and they just made her out into the patriarchal society, just made her out into being this bad woman, which she wasn't at all. And she was into sort of the divine feminine in a really practical and gritty way. Yes, she did. We talked about the power of the womb, and she was into womb magic and all that kind of stuff that we've begun to talk about. But she was powerful on a whole other level. And the idea was that that divine feminine, that creative, that intuitive connection with God went alongside Jesus's, and together they formed like the whole story, if you like. And she has just been dismissed. And she's one of the most powerful women or powerful ascended masters I've ever channeled. And the thing about her, you get things through from her, and you think, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to manage that. Somehow she engineers it and she gets it done. Like, oh, I'm never going to run a group. 3 months later, I've got enough people to run a group. I'll talk about my job in a minute. I'll never be able to leave my job. Suddenly, yes, I've left my job. And she gets stuff done. She's a real doer. She's not a wafter around her. Sometimes people think, you see that this stuff on YouTube and Facebook, and these people wafting around in dresses holding crystals by Glastonbury, and oh, it's all divine feminine. It's not like that at all. Divine feminine is gritty, it's powerful, it's practical. It gives women a way to heal themselves, to heal others, to feel that strength within themselves so that they can go forward in their lives. It doesn't necessarily involve wafting around in a caftan and, you know, having a photo on Instagram. This is for real women, and not just, you know, middle class women who can afford to go to these expensive events. It's for everybody. It's really important. So my groups are really inexpensive, so that more people will come, so that we can spread the word, because that's more important.
Absolutely, and I think it is, and I think it's the way forward. I mean, I do obviously do one-on-one healing sessions, but I've been very much drawn, similar to you, to set up groups. Mine was called Creating New Earth, and we worked with the rising of the divine feminine, and it's the same. And actually, sometimes the healing sessions in these groups can be more powerful because we're holding that energy together. Yeah. And what we're going through at the moment is as a collective. So if we can shift these karmic kind of imprints, yes, and conditioning, you know, in a group setting, it's really you know, very powerful, isn't it?
Yes. So it's like a ripple. This ripple effect is building, isn't it, now? And it's just like that. Your background at the moment, that is the rise of the divine feminine. Your background, you've got a ripple spreading out as
no, it's why we often end up talking about this, because it kind of comes into it, because it's definitely that ripple effect. And you know, just hold on, I'm just going to do this, just one drop, you know. And you know, one change can create that, can't it? So let's see where we want to go with this. I'm actually going to hand it to you, because I know a lot of the way that you work is channeled and meditative, and you know, so I'm going to let you sort of see where you want to go next, if there's any coming through at all.
Yeah, well, Mary Magdalene has been around since this morning, and given me visions and things like that. So I guess I should have expected that she'd want to play a part in this podcast, so I can tune in and I can see what we can get through, if that's all right.
That would be beautiful. Thank you, Sally.
So I'm Mary Magdalene. I want you to all know that you are important. Each one of you carries this light inside of you. And this light shows your worthiness, your divinity. You are all divine. You are all following the path that Source, Creator, God gave to you. And you're all powerful. It's really important that you know that you make a difference. I know you're going through challenging times. I know how difficult this world is for us at the moment. But this is a change, and change can be for the better. I know there's lots of information, lots of films talking about the downfall of society and the breakdown, but don't worry about all of those sorts of things, the negativity, the downfall, the breakdown. Just know that things need to break before they can build up again. Some people talk about the golden future, and I would say that this is how it's going to be. In fact, you can be living your golden future within your soul right now. In your heart space, you are in your golden future. Create that future in your heart space, and it will get so powerful, it will power without. And that's how we're going to get our future of love, nurture, and nourishment. A future where people can read each other's energies, where people are more intuitive, where people follow their inner guidance rather than the outer systems. I feel that you need to know that everybody is connected on a soul level and on a spiritual level, but also energetically. If you create this golden glow within your heart space, that's going to enable you to be able to connect with other people and also to connect with Mother Gaia on a soul level. And once you are grounded, and once you have that strength within you, you'll be able to connect out of your planet, to connect into the cosmos, connect with star family, star beings, the Pleiades. The whole cosmos is there supporting and nurturing you, waiting to communicate with you. It's up to you to build this energy with within your soul, so you can start to create this wonderful, bright future. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, that was incredibly powerful.
I have to be honest, I don't get to know a lot of what's said. The words are coming out, but I can't latch onto them, so I never get to know what I've said. So I'll watch the record later.
Oh,
I never
wow,
know.
very powerful. I'm feeling to ask some questions from what came up. I was in a little bit of a deep space as well, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pick up on everything. But one of the things
You
you spoke
ask
about
questions?
was how we're all connected, and
Right.
how we one of the things I understand from Mary Magdalene is that she's really supporting the process of bringing the divine heaven onto earth, and doing that through each and every one of us, embodying that. So I'm just interested to sort of pick up on that a little bit more.
I can ask her
how we can do that individually, but also as a collective, connecting with people of similar resonance, for example. So
okay, I can tune back in, because this is what we do in my group.
thank you.
Once you have this energy and this light and this divinity within you, other people will recognize you. It's like an energetic signature. Once other people recognize each other, you build together to form communities and tribes. And then it forms, just as we were talking about earlier, you were talking about the ripple effect. So there's power in numbers. And while I'm talking about power in numbers, I feel that the main way is about empowering others. It's all about the power. If you give other people, by the way you interact with them, by the way you talk to them, by the way you nurture them, give people space, acknowledge them for who they are and respect them for who they are, they will see that in you. And this empowerment will go into their hearts. And that's how you raise the consciousness. When people are strong within themselves, this strength has a power, and there's power in numbers. And there are going to be tribes like this. There already are. There's women all around the world, and people who identify as women. There's people all around the world who are doing this. They're forming their tribes. And together, I see it as a web, like a spider's web of light, of golden light, connecting the whole world. And these webs of energy are gossamer fine and so thin, but so strong, just like a spider's web. When you look at a spider's web, it's just awe-inspiring how such a small and what looks like a delicate creation can catch such big things, you know, such as wasps and large flies. And that is what this web of energy is like. It's so big that other people are drawn to it. And once they're drawn to it, this light will start shining within them. And it's this idea that God is in, or source, whatever you would like to say, is within each of you, within each of us. And together we're forming God and source energy on earth. Does this answer your question?
Thank you. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I love that. I love this idea of like a spider's web or a web of light that's you know, forming across the earth, and that energy signature, you know, that we recognize each other by. And also this idea of empowering, by being empowered and operating from that place, but then also, you know, passing that on and empowering the next person. Because you know, a lot of the work that I've been doing actually with the Creating New Earth has been about breaking down that boundary between the healer and the, you know, the person receiving, you know, because we all heal ourselves and heal each other, and we're all healers, you know. So it's really empowering people to know that. So it all feels very resonant, you know, what you brought through there.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting the way society's going. It used to be, oh, they're the gurus, they're the healers, we go to them, we get healed, we go to them and they help us meet our spirit guides and da da da. It's not like that anymore. People come and you teach them how to do it for themselves. So the idea is that the healers, the leaders, they're not needed as much, because people have got to use their own compass from within to be able to guide themselves.
Absolutely.
We don't need to look to leaders to guide us, and I feel people need to be a bit careful about what they follow, about what they look at. They've really got to show great discernment and see what resonates with them on a soul level, because there's so much stuff out there. Oh, the world's going to fall and la la la, and I don't know if it really is. I feel it's just being rebuilt. I think the new earth is just a rebuilding.
Yeah, and then of course there's that, you know, where energy goes, where attention goes, energy flows. So you know,
Yeah,
in the sense of, you know, if we're focusing on all that, then we're building energy. It's predictive programming potentially. You know, we're
yeah,
actually we're creating that timeline. So you know, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's
yeah,
important to know. I mean, to a point, you know, I think it's important to know, because, you know, because of the shadow, because that can be kind of, if we're just doing this to everything, then potentially that's
yeah,
the shadow aspect. So that's how I've personally worked with that,
yeah.
to look at my own shadow, look at my own triggers, but not feel that I need to know every little detail.
That's it. It's important to know that
Yeah.
stuff's going to happen and what we need to do, but we don't need to bathe in it. You know, just it shouldn't be soaking into our every pore. We know it. We're carrying the light. We've got this. The
Do you
light's
feel
already
it's the
on.
emotional attachment, you know, when we
Yeah,
go into that, you know, for me, it was like I went into quite a lot of fear at one point, and that was the shadow aspect. It was actually persecution stuff from past life that was activated in me that I needed to heal. So, you know, that was actually really useful. You know, so it's sometimes that it can be
Yeah,
actually trying to tell us something. If there's an
yeah,
emotional response, you know, that can sometimes be really, really
yeah, and give us
useful.
an awareness. And awareness is good, but it's when you make that your sole diet and that's all
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
feeding on it.
Yeah.
It, it just that's crushing. That's crushing our light, really. That's crushing the magic we all have inside of us.
Absolutely. I'd
Mm.
love to talk a little bit because I know that you're. I haven't spoken to you recently, but kind of a few months ago when we last spoke, that you were talking about setting up a mystery school. And is this all about the empowerment, about you know empowering individuals? I'm not sure if it's just for women or for everybody.
It's for everybody.
Everybody, yeah. To
Yeah,
you go
yeah.
ahead.
So long term, I do feel that Mary Magdalene will guide me to set up a mystery school, but it's not going to be in the usual way of things, I don't think. It is more just from a very practical level. It will involve womb healing, it will involve downloading light codes, um, and the creation, or the it's not really the creation, the uncovering of what was within us and that divine feminine aspect. But it's for men as well, like I talked about before. But I see it being on a really practical level, like really good pricing so people can afford it, because I don't want to make a profit from this. It's just so important that people who are ready can get this information and this knowledge
Yes.
directly through. Just like when I was telling Mary Magdalene, then some people are ready for it and want more, and
Yeah.
this will be for them. So that, you know,
Beautiful.
direct access to what Mary Magdalene says, and in a really practical, down to earth format is how I would see it going. Um, but it's an interesting journey, because that's what I was doing and beginning to get through when we last spoke. And then now, in the last 3 or 4 days, it's been this massive womb healing thing that my
Oh
friend Karina
wow.
and I are getting
Yeah.
through. So I think that will become a part of it. But just when I think, yeah, I've got the measure of it and I'm going to be doing this, suddenly somebody, this time it was somebody who was sent my way who we needed to help, and then it all changes. But
Yeah.
nothing's wasted, and everything will go into this eventually, this mystery school idea. So people have like written down transcripts, so people have got some like practical stuff in front of them about how to navigate this future.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. And I have a strong sense that the womb healing was meant to come through for the podcast. You know, if you got it a few days ago, it was
Yeah, it literally
in
was. It was like,
preparation for this
yeah,
particular one as well. I don't know if because I know you're all about practical. I don't know if you
yeah,
want to do. We're going to have to sort of close up soon because
yeah,
of timing. But
yeah.
I don't know if you want to just do either short healing or short meditation
Yeah, I would
to
absolutely
finish
love
up.
to.
That
So
would be amazing, Sally.
I got this meditation through, ready for this podcast. I channeled it, I'm not sure, a couple of weeks ago, just after we last chatted. Um, and it really follows the theme, I think, of what we've been talking about today. So it's a little guided meditation. Mary Magdalene is still around, and when she comes through, I will be telling you what she's saying and what she's doing. And I feel it's going to be like a bit of maybe a rebirth or a renourishment of your heart. Yeah, I just think it's just following on from this idea of a hug in a podcast. I think that's how
Sounds
it's going.
fabulous. Thank you.
Okay. So if people want to sit with their feet firmly on the floor, that's usually best if that's comfortable for you. And usually I sit with my palms facing upwards like this on my legs, if that's comfortable. But if that isn't how you usually meditate, just sit how you'd like to sit. One heart, one beat, one universe. With every beat of your heart, Feel yourself connecting below your feet to our Earth Mother Gaia and above to the heavenly realm. With each pulse, you're becoming more aligned with the beat of our universe. With each breath you take, feel yourself sinking, sinking deeper and deeper, linking completely with Gaia's energy. Feel yourself relaxing and letting go of thoughts which are holding you back from fully immersing yourself in this experience. You are at one with our earthly mother. Your spirit is her spirit. You are intrinsically linked. She is holding you in her arms as her child, and you are nurtured and safe. Little tendrils of love are growing from her heart to yours, and your heart energy is mingling with hers. Now you're fully relaxed and connected. Your heart space is opening to the energies which are surrounding your upper chakras. Your crown chakra is opening to allow higher energies to pour through to your third eye, throat, heart, and all the way to your lower chakras. You may feel that your energy is rising, or you may feel fluttering in your chest, particularly from your heart chakra upwards. As the energy rises, it's forming a sparkling strand of light connecting from your crown to the heavenly realm. Mary Magdalene is stepping forward. Her black hair with reddish ends is glowing in the sun, and she's holding a pink rose as she makes her way towards you. As she steps forward, she's holding out her hands to you. And as she does so, you may feel a sheer of energy go through your body, or you may feel your hand or arms tingling as your heart opens further. This is all due to the power of her energy and intense love for you. Just sit and feel this energy. So for some of you, she's holding your hands. You're feeling a surge of energy. Your hands may feel tingly. You may feel a surge of energy going up your arms. And you may find your extremities are getting warmer, like your feet and your fingers. Some of you, she's putting her hand on your shoulders. And you may feel that your hair feels a bit like static electricity, and that's her energy moving along your shoulders and up through your crown chakra. She wants you to know that you are loved, that you are important, that you need not feel overlooked or dismissed, because everyone is worthy. Opportunities like this are so important because they enable this connection to be truly felt. As Mary holds your hands, you're being flooded with love. You might feel that your heart is expanding even further, and it's growing and pulsing with love and energy. And this energy and heat is spreading through the whole of your body. Any sadness or fear you may have felt has been washed away. These emotions are flooding away. You're being cleaned from the inside. Your thoughts which no longer serve are being released and flowing out of your body, leaving you clean and refreshed. This energy is being transmuted by the violet flame. And it's been transmuted into love and healing energy that is being sent out across the cosmos. The process is acting as a rebirth, a chance to reconnect to who you are and who you need to be. Just going to leave you for a couple of minutes now just to let the shift fully embed, because this is a massive shift that's surging through your system. Just go with the waves of energy you can feel. Just ride those waves. Don't acknowledge, don't latch onto the thoughts, just acknowledge and move on. As Mary holds your hands, she's flooding your heart with warm, healing energy, with nourishment, nurturing, and kindness. That energy's been placed there so you can learn to nurture yourself. You don't need to rely on others. If you feel you have that gap in your life, you can nurture yourself from within. Mary is filling your body, mind, and soul with positive energy, giving you the strength to believe in who you are, who you're meant to be, and which path you're meant to follow. Just allow that to sink in. Just know that you are enough and that you are blessed. You are worthy. It's time to think about coming back now. So just thank Mary Magdalene in your head for this loving, healing energy. And call your name 3 times in your head. Gently wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, come back to your room. And very gently and gradually, when you're ready, because this was a powerful energy surge, powerful download, when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so
Very
welcome.
beautiful.
Yeah. They're always a bit powerful, aren't they?
It's really strong. I have to be in the podcast now. I
Do you want
had
me to take over?
I did a podcast with Diana Cooper a few months ago, and it was a transmission, and I realized afterwards that it was a different experience, because it's this sort of thing where usually you'll just sit quietly and receive. So I think it's one of these moments for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they always are quite powerful.
Yes.
And what people will be able to do when they watch this is, if they press pause when I have the silent bits, and then really usually this would take a lot longer, you see,
Yes.
and sort of let it marinate, if you like, so they can do that. Because and the other thing to know is that each time they listen to this, they will get new energy through, and you'll get something different from it. So some of my meditations I revisit a few years later, and I still get new stuff from them.
Beautiful. And
Mhm.
we're going to put the link to your YouTube channel underneath
Yeah,
so that people can find more of your
the
wonderful
channeling.
meditations, and any other links as well that you'd like to share,
Thank you.
so people know how to get in contact with you
That's
as
brilliant. Thanks, Sarah.
well. Any other last comments or thoughts? Anything you'd like to say to finish up today?
Um, I just think it would be really nice as if this podcast has touched any of you, and um, you feel you've got something from the meditation or the channeling. It would be lovely if you could put something in the comments so we can get some feedback. And just thank you to everyone who's watched, and just know that you are worthy and you are loved.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today, Sally.
Been absolutely joyful. Absolutely
Yeah,
joyful.
thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much. And anyone that's enjoyed this, please do hit subscribe so that you can connect in with some more US podcasts. Many blessings. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.